Imagine you're the driver of an out-of-control trolley. The brakes have stopped working, and you're quickly approaching a fork in the tracks. You have two options. You can either turn the trolley to the left, and you'll go down the left-hand track, or you can turn the trolley to the right, and you'll go down the right-hand track. Those are the only two things you can do. As you approach, though, and you're desperately hitting the brakes, you notice that on the right-hand track, there's a single person tied up, crying out for help. And then on the left-hand track, there are 5 people tied up, also crying out for help. It's very clear that the 5 won't be able to escape in time, nor will the 1 be able to escape in time. You have, therefore, 2 options. If you turn the trolley to the left, you will run over and kill 5 people. You are absolutely sure that this trolley is so heavy and those people are so thoroughly, clearly tied down that they will definitely die when you run over them. Or you can turn the trolley to the right, go down the right-hand track, and run over 1. Those are your only 2 options. 2 questions for you. Question 1, what would you do in this circumstance? Question 2, what morally should you do in this circumstance? And in particular, is it morally permissible for you to turn the wheel to the right and run over the 1, killing 1 while saving 5? Even if you didn't make the decision to do that, if somebody else made that decision, would they be doing anything wrong, is the second question. Now, the vast majority of people who encounter this case, we'll call it the driver or the trolley driver, since you're the driver of the trolley, will say, of course it's morally permissible to turn to the right. I mean, some might even go further and say you would be doing something wrong if you didn't. I mean, just look at the numbers. Option 2 involves just killing 1, whereas option 1 involves killing 5. If this is the circumstance you're tragically forced to face, of course this is at least permissible, maybe even morally obligatory. So for the question, is option 2 morally permissible? Most of us say yes, absolutely. It would be morally fine for somebody to turn down the right-hand track. Tragic, probably deeply scarring for them no matter what they do, but from a moral perspective, they certainly have done nothing wrong by picking to kill the 1 as opposed to picking to kill the 5. Here's a second case. We'll call it the surgeon. You are an expert surgeon. You're particularly good at organ transplants. You're in a remote area and you're the only ER around. 5 people have come into your emergency room. Each of them needs a separate organ transplant desperately. 1 needs a kidney, 1 needs a liver, 1 needs a new heart, 1 needs new lungs, and so on. They will all 5 die very soon unless they receive the transplants. Now, you do not happen to have any donors in your ER, nor do you have any stock organs that you could use. So you begin to panic until a man who is known to be a hermit wanders into your emergency room. This guy has no friends and family. He totally lives by himself. He's a harmless guy, but he comes in for, I don't know, a broken finger. And he's sitting there in the ER, and it occurs to you, you know, I could have him tested to see if his blood type matches the 5 while we check out this finger. You do that, and what you discover is his blood type matches perfectly, all 5 of the people. What a happy coincidence. Now, you float to him, listen, here is something you could do to end your life in a heroic way. You could transplant all 5 of your organs. And he stops you and he's like, no thanks, I like my life, I don't want to die. So it occurs to you, I could put this man under general anesthetic and then take his organs anyway. Now, if I do that, he will certainly die. I will, though, thereby save the lives of the 5 people. I know I can do that for sure. My other option is to do nothing. So option 1 is to just do absolutely nothing, fix up the hermit's broken finger, let him go, and your 5 patients will all die. Your second option is transplant the hermit's organs against his will, knowing that that will kill him. You then will save, though, your 5 patients. 2 questions. Question 1, what would you do if you're in this circumstance? Would you pick option 1 and do nothing, letting 5 people die, but making sure that the hermit stays alive? Or would you transplant the hermit's organs, killing him in the process, but saving the lives of the 5? The second question, which is related, is would it be morally okay for you or someone else in this circumstance to kill the hermit, take his organs against his will, transplant them, and save the lives of the 5 people? Would that be a morally acceptable thing to do? Or would that be immoral and wrong, and indeed murder and the sort of thing probably such a surgeon should go to jail for? So is it morally permissible to do option 2? Now, the vast majority of you are going to react in the same way to this case. Perhaps not all, but most of you will react by saying, of course it would be gravely immoral for the surgeon to harvest the hermit's organs, even if in doing so he can save the lives of 5 people. This would be a horrible act of murder. And therefore, it is morally unacceptable. And the thing that the surgeon is required to do is to do nothing and tragically let his 5 patients die. So we have these 2 cases, and we're now going to put them side by side. Case 1 is the driver. Recall that in the driver case, most of you, I would think probably all of you, reacted in the following way. Of course, it would be morally permissible to turn the wheel to the right and run over 1 person, thereby killing them in order to save the 5. In the surgeon case, by contrast, the vast majority of you, though perhaps not all of you, reacted in the following way. Of course, it would be morally wrong for the surgeon to transplant the hermit's organs in order to save the 5 patients in his operating room. This is extremely puzzling. This is a very common reaction to these 2 cases. There's something odd about that, though, because if you look at the numbers in each case, they are exactly the same. I mean, why should it be that it is morally acceptable to kill the 1 in order to save the 5 in the driver case, but morally wrong, indeed murderous, to kill the 1 in order to save the 5 in the surgeon case? This is, you may have heard, the trolley problem, and it's a bit of a misnomer in that trolley problems don't just refer to trolley cases. The trolley problem in its original formulation, which we get from Philippa Foot in her piece, The Doctrine of Abortion, the Morality of Abortion and the Doctrine of Double Effect, she lays out these 2 cases side by side and notes that we have a puzzling and apparently inconsistent reaction to the 2 cases. And her question is what we'll call the first trolley problem. The first trolley problem is the following question. Why is it morally permissible to run over the 1 in the driver case, but morally wrong to transplant the 1's organs in the surgeon case? What explains, in other words, is there some morally relevant feature that is different between the 2 cases that can possibly explain the differing moral reactions to the 2 cases? Why is it permissible to run over the 1 in the driver case, but wrong to transplant the one's organs in the surgeon case. That is fundamentally the trolley problem. It's a problem of an apparent inconsistency in our moral attitudes when reacting to two different moral dilemmas. One of them is a trolley case, or a case of an out-of-control trolley, and the other one is a medical ethics case. Both of these are hard choices in some ways, and we can call them moral dilemmas, but it seems as though, given the numbers on either side, the consistent reaction should be to say, well, both are permissible or both are wrong. And yet we say one is permissible and one is wrong. And the trolley problem, Foot's first trolley problem, is the problem of explaining our different reactions. Why is it permissible in one case to kill one, but not permissible in the other? Here's a really tempting and relatively simple solution. You might think, look, there's just a moral difference at the end of the day between killing a person and letting somebody die. This is known as the killing, letting die distinction. And we can formulate it as follows. It's always morally worse to kill a person than it is to let a person die. So what this distinction does for us is allows us to move beyond numbers. You could have, in one case, a death, a single death, and in another case, a single death, and not know for sure whether or not the perpetrator, so to speak, or the agent in the scenario is equally at fault, is equally responsible, or has done something equally as bad until you know whether or not the agent killed the person or merely let the person die. That's the thought. This goes along with, and this is from J.J. Thompson's piece, Judith Thompson's piece, that is called The Trolley Problem, that I had you guys read. She says, a corollary of the killing, letting die distinction, I'm going to call this principle A and principle B, is number one, that killing 5 is always worse than just killing 1. So if you're comparing acts of killing, then numbers matter. And the more people who are killed, the worse it is. That seems relatively intuitive. Principle B is that killing 1 is worse even than letting 5 die. The thought is that killing is not just a little bit worse than letting die, but it's significantly worse, such that if your choice is between killing 1 person and letting 5 die, an act of killing is significantly worse than each individual act of letting die, so much so that it's worse to kill 1 than it is to let 5 people die. How is the killing, letting die distinction supposed to solve the first trolley problem? The first trolley problem asks, why is it permissible to run over 1 person in the driver case, but not permissible to transplant the 1 person's organs in the surgeon case? Well, roughly, the killing, letting die distinction says it matters what your other option is. Recall that principle A said it is always worse to kill 5 than it is to kill 1. And when we look at what you're choosing between in the driver case, option 1 is running over and killing 5 people, whereas option 2 is running over and killing 1. So you are in a circumstance that forces you to choose between killing 5 and killing 1, and those are your only 2 options. And principle A says if your only choices are between acts of killing, go with the numbers. Kill 1 rather than kill 5. But when we look back over here at the surgeon case, what we see is that option 1 is not an act of killing. Recall that option 1 is do nothing, knowing that your 5 patients will die. Now, recall you didn't give them the ailments that is resulting in their death. Instead, they wandered into your operating room already in the process of dying. On the other hand, your choice in option 2 is to kill 1. And principle B, which is the second corollary of the killing, letting die distinction, says killing is so bad that it's worse to kill one than it is to just let 5 die. So when we look at the surgeon case, what principle B implies is option 2 is morally wrong, and it's morally wrong because it's an act of killing when you could have just let 5 die. On the other hand, option 2 in the driver case is morally permissible because there is no option but to kill. The other option is an act of killing, but it's killing 5. So that is how the killing, letting die solution is supposed to solve the first trolley problem. What we'll see, unfortunately, is that in the Thompson piece that I had you read, she gives us a revenge trolley problem, or a second version of the trolley problem that it sure looks like the killing, letting die distinction does not explain.